At the beginning of this story, we see a girl named Sue traveling from ship to Ireland. She is accompanied by her stepfather, Mr. Park, who has been assigned work there, and they both are going to live on the island. Since her mother had passed away, all responsibilities now rested on her stepfather. Now that Sue was going to live there, her grandfather got her admitted into a local school. Her grandfather was a civil engineer, and he had been called to Ireland to work on the construction of a tunnel inside the mountains. After her mother's death, Sue had become very lonely. She often read online about other worlds and realities. One day, after school, as she was returning home, a boy named Yog calling out to her and told her that her shoelaces were untied. As she bent down to tie her laces, she curious asked him whether he lived in the orphanage nearby. Yog didn't respond and walked away. The next day, during the school assembly, the principal Sirius informed all the students that an explosion had occurred at the tunnel construction site, causing an accident. He sternly warned everyone not to go near the construction site. Later, while Sue was cleaning her classroom, she overheard Yog boasting, telling his friends that he could separate his soul from his body. S found this very interesting. After school, she eagerly asked Yog to come with her and show her how he could separate his soul from his body. Yog lay down on the ground, closed his eyes, and started chanting a mantra. He seriously told Sue to watch as he showed her how he could leave his body. He then pretended that his soul was flying in the air and triumphant excited shouted, "Look, I'm flying." But Sue, skeptical, told him to stop imagining things and insisted that no one could actually do that. Yog was a strange child raised in an orphanage. Sue then showed him her secret notebook filled with symbolic drawings, which helped Yog remember her better. After that, they both went to an abandoned house and sat together in its gallery, talking to each other. During this, Yog carved on a piece of wood and tried to draw Sue's face, though it didn't resemble her at all. Later, while playing, Yog's slipper broke and he fell. His hand got stuck in a crack in a floor. Sue helped him free his hand, bandaged it, and even kissed him. Yog really liked the kiss. One day, Yog made a plan with his friends to go to the construction site to see the explosions. Sue also decided to go along with him. On the way, Sue sees a deep cave beneath a tree. All of them decide to go inside the cave, which is very dark. As they reach deeper inside, they notice a small pond emitting a bright glowing light. The light is coming from a stone inside the water. Sue thinks it might be a piece of a meteorite and wants to have a closer look. So Yog tells her, "You look the other way. I'll go and get it for you." Sue turns to face the cave wall while Yog removes his clothes and jumps into the pond. He swims toward the glowing stone and brings it out. But as soon as the stone comes out of the water, it stops glowing. What they thought was a stone actually turns out to be an egg, possibly from some creature. They take the egg with them and exit the cave. Yog then tells them that his grandfather once said that on a full moon night, a mysterious cave appears in the mountains. They realize it's a full moon tonight, and the cave is real too. Suddenly, Sue remembers that she dropped her hairpin in the cave while coming out. It was the last memory of her mom, so she goes back into the cave to retrieve it. While she's inside, Yog's friend jokes with him, saying, "If Sue has a sister, set me up with her too." Meanwhile, inside the cave, Sue finds her mother's hairpin. But as she starts to leave, a sudden, intense earthquake shakes the cave. Fortunately, Sue manages to escape unharmed. However, when she comes out, she sees that none of her friends are outside anymore. The egg is lying there, broken. She starts looking for her friends all over the forest, but she can't find them. She's also lost her way, so she sits down in despair and starts crying. On the other side, The parents of the missing children arrive at the tunnel construction site and demand that all work be stopped. Mr. Park also arrives and asks what's going on. They tell him that their children went to see the tunnel, but haven't returned home. A man then asks Mr. Park, "Isn't Sue your daughter?" Mr. Park replies, "Yes." The man informs him that she went along with the children to see the tunnel. Mr. Park is surprised and says that no children came to the site. He suggests they might still be somewhere up in the mountains. So, at dawn, a full search operation is launched across the mountain. Eventually, Sue is found unconscious in the forest and taken to the hospital in an ambulance. But the rest of the children are still missing. So the police begin interrogating her to find out what happened.
She reaches the hospital, and the police question her about where the other children are. She explains that they found a glowing egg inside a cave. They brought the egg outside, but her mother's hairpin had fallen inside the cave, so she went back to retrieve it. But when she came back out, no one was there, and the egg had also broken. The police then ask her to take them to the cave so they can search for clues related to the other missing children. However, even after much searching, Sue can't find the cave again, which leads everyone to believe she is lying. Just then, news arrives that a child's dead body has been found. Hearing this, many parents panic. When they go to the location, they find GK's body buried inside a blanket. The postmortem reveals that the cause of death was asthma. The next day, many people from Ireland come together to mourn GK's death. Sue also cries deeply while remembering her best moments with Yong. The following day, when Tacy's brother is on his way to school, he finds Tacy's clothes outside the house. Soon after, the police also find GK's clothes, and this news spreads quickly across the media. Meanwhile, Sue senses someone outside her house. She sees someone running away, so she starts following them. That's when a stranger appears, repeatedly calling her name. The stranger approaches and tries to touch her. She becomes frightened, but the stranger says, "It's me, Yong." Sue doesn't believe him and runs away. While running, she ends up in front of her grandfather's car. Mr. Park quickly stops the car, sees her crying, and asks what happened. She tells him someone was following her. Mr. Park calls the police to provide her protection. She explains that the stranger was claiming to be Yong. Then a constable brings her a diary. Upon seeing it, Sue says, "This is my diary." So the constable hands it to her. Sue takes the diary to her room and starts reading. Yong had written many things in the symbolic language that Sue had taught him. Now, the story shifts back to the time when Sue had gone back into the cave to get her hairpin, and Yong was left outside with his friends and the egg. GK and Tazy were repeatedly telling Yong to break the egg. The moment Yong cracks the egg, all the birds flying in the sky freeze midair. Yong wants to show this to Sue, so he goes to find her. But when he sees that she is also frozen, he leaves her there and heads out with his two friends to explore Ireland. They discover that everything in the city is frozen, even the people. They have fun, go to places they had dreamed of, and eat lots of delicious food. But GK, like always, takes a huge risk. He tries a dish despite his asthma and realizes he doesn't have his inhaler. The scene then shifts back to the present. The police are still searching for Yong. Now Sue begins to believe a little in Yong's story, so she returns to her grandfather and confesses that she lied. She hadn't actually seen any stranger. Mr. Park then calls the police and tells them to call off the search, claiming that Sue is just a bit delusional and that there was no stranger. Sue then continues reading the diary, and the story shifts again to the past. When time had stopped, GK had already died. Sue was still speaking, unaware that Tayo and Yong were in the library reading books. When they went to check on GK, they found he had passed away. Terrified by his death, they made a makeshift mattress and buried GK inside it. They decided to give his clothes to his parents as a keepsake. Years passed. Yong and Tayo had grown up. They no longer needed money to buy anything in the frozen world, but they believed that one day everything would return to normal. That hope kept them going, and eventually they began stealing money from frozen people to survive. One day they realized how much they had aged. They decided it was time to try and set things right. So, after many years, Yong went back to see Sue. She still looked the same. He feared she wouldn't recognize him, so he returned to her house and placed a wooden piece with Sue's drawing on it into a box, hoping she would recognize him through it. The scene then returns to the present where Sue finds the same wooden piece. The story shifts back to the frozen time again, where Tayo had become extremely anxious. Living like that, not aging physically but feeling the weight of time, made him fear dying in that state. Deeply distressed one day, he runs out of the lab and jumps into the sea, ending his life. After Tayo's death, Yong was completely alone. He too jumped into the sea. But the moment Tayo entered the ocean, time resumed. Everything began moving again. Yong's body washed up on the shore of Ireland, but now he had grown up significantly. He began hearing all kinds of sounds. After 20 years of silence, they overwhelmed him. The scene cuts back to the present again. Sue goes to meet Yong in an abandoned house. She holds his hand and says sorry. Both of them cry together. Meanwhile, police spot CCTV footage showing Yong near Sue's house, placing GK's clothes there. The police now begin searching for him. Sue cuts Yong's hair to make him look like his old self again. Yong then shows Sue the money he had stolen while time was frozen. Using that money, Sue buys many things for him and gets him all dressed up. Then the two of them fall asleep under her bed. The next day, Sue visits the orphanage and tells the warden everything about time freezing. She asks the warden, "If you saw someone after 20 years, would you recognize them?" The warden says, "Why not?" Hearing this, Sue goes to bring Yong. But just then, Mr. Park arrives and forcibly takes Sue away. The warden had called Mr. Park and told him that Sue had come and was talking nonsense. As they're leaving, Sue tells Yong to go meet the warden. She'll surely recognize him. However, when Yong meets the warden, she doesn't recognize him and becomes frightened. Disappointed, Yong leaves. Sue and her friend had hoped someone would recognize Yong so that the police wouldn't suspect him of involvement in Tayo's death. Meanwhile, Mr. Park locks Sue in a room and takes away her phone. There is a photo of her with Yong. As soon as Mr. Park leaves, Yong breaks down the door and comes to Sue. On seeing him, Sue gets emotional and says, "No one believes my words." Yong takes Sue with him, and they escape. That evening, when Mr. Park can't find Sue anywhere, he reports her missing to the police. Sue tells Yong that when she went back into the cave again, she saw a light under the water. She suspects that maybe there's another egg. She suggests they go back, bring the egg, and break it in front of everyone so people will believe her. But Yong refuses. He fears that if they break the egg, everyone will die just like his friends did. Instead, they plan to escape. They go to the abandoned house to pick up Rang, but Mr. Park shows up and grabs Sue, trying to take her away. Yong tries to stop him, and in anger is about to hit him with a table. But Sue intervenes and stops him, and they both run away. Later, the police arrive and Mr. Park hands over Sue's phone, telling them she kept calling someone Yong. The police then issue a search operation across Ireland and block all the roads. To evade capture, Yong hires a taxi, but they soon notice a police checkpoint ahead. So Yong and Sue get out and start running. The police spot them and chase after them. The two run into a tunnel where Sue tells Yong, "If we stay together, they'll catch us both. You need to escape alone." So Yong reluctantly leaves her behind. The police want to catch Yong for two reasons. One, he left GK's clothes at his house. And two, they believe he kidnapped Sue. Yong escapes, but the police capture Sue. They tell her, "The person you're hiding kidnapped your friend GK. He's just pretending to be Yong." They ask her to reveal his location, but Sue says nothing, so they let her go. But letting her go was part of the police's plan, to follow her and find Yong through her. Sue climbs a hill looking for the cave. Since it was a full moon, she finally finds it. Inside, underwater, she sees another egg. She takes off her clothes and swims to retrieve the egg. Just as she exits the cave, she finds Yong waiting outside. She asks him to give her the egg, but he refuses, fearing she would break it and endanger herself. Yong insists he'll confess to killing GK and D so everything will be okay. But Sue disagrees and says she'll break the egg and return, and when she does, they will be the same age. Suddenly, an earthquake begins, and rocks start falling in the cave. Yong runs with the egg, but police spot him and give chase. He ends up at the edge of a cliff. The police aim their guns at him. Just then, Sue jumps in front of him and shouts, "Why don't you believe me?" "He's my friend Yong. He didn't do anything." But some officers grab Yong from behind. In the scuffle, Sue is pushed and starts falling from the cliff. Yong reaches to save her, and in the process, he too ends up hanging off the cliff. Trying to save Sue, he climbs down, but then Dee's hand slips and both Sue and Dee begin to fall. Before they can hit the ground, Yong breaks the egg, which freezes time again. Suddenly the scene shifts. Sue wakes up on the beach. Dee is with her. Yong had used the egg correctly this time. He broke it right before Dee and Sue fell, freezing time and saving their lives. This act made everyone finally believe Sue. They apologize to Yong, but after the incident, Yong mysteriously disappears again. Months pass. Mr. Park's tunnel project is completed, and people are about to leave Ireland. As they depart, Sue keeps looking back, hoping Yong might return. In the final scene, Sue is walking by the beach and sees someone who looks like Yong. As she approaches, she realizes it really is Yong. He had returned, more mature and wiser than before.